I haven't received a paycheck in 5 weeks. It is currently freezing cold in New York City. The bills are still piling up and my income has officially hit zero. And currently, I'm in the middle of the biggest nursing strike in New York City history. And the reality of the strike is that even though the determination is high, the financial anxiety is very, very, very real because going without income is terrifying. And honestly, nobody should have to choose between their working rights and their rent. But here's the thing, even though it's very uncertain when I'll go back, I'm very fortunate that I'm currently not panicking about how I'm going to pay for my life next month. Now, I'm not rich, I didn't win the lottery, I didn't have a trust fund, but I do have a safety net that I built up over the years, about 12,000 bucks, and that number covers just about 5 months of my expenses. So it buys me time, it buys me options, and most importantly, it buys me the ability to stand on a picket line without fear. So what I'm gonna do is show you exactly how I built that system on a standard nurse's salary, the 5 habits that I used to do it, and one major sacrifice that I made to get there that I actually regret. Before the safety net though, I was not always like this. I was actually the perfect consumer. I was relying heavy on DoorDash and heavy on Amazon's buy now button to solve all of my problems. In essence, I was working hard day in and day out simply to fund a fundamentally non-secure life. And when the strike began, I realized that this was not a quick negotiation. This would be an indefinite battle. And because of that, I had an urgent, oh shit moment. So I trimmed down expenses. I kept my expenses low for what New York City can be. And I found out that my $12,000 emergency fund can actually cover like 5 months of how I live. So the biggest hole in my wallet was food. Like I said, I used to justify delivery apps by saying that I would save time and energy. But when I actually looked at the numbers, it was a lose-lose situation. Because think about it, I was paying triple the cost to sit alone in my apartment eating food that wasn't even healthy. Because let's be honest, it's mostly fast food that you DoorDash, right? I was isolating myself from the world and draining my bank account to do it. So I made the pivot to cooking at home. Let me be clear, I am not a chef. I don't chop vegetables like they do on TV. My cooking style is best described as boring, but still got flavor. I take ingredients, I throw them in a slow cooker, I walk away for a few hours, I come back, it's amazing. The first few weeks were rough, I'm not gonna lie. The food was bland. I missed the salt and the sugar of takeout, but I kept at it and I got better. And this single habit saves me between like 400 to 500 a month, which at max is like 6,000 a year, just from stopping delivery apps. And I turned a lose-lose into a win-win because I saved money and I also got healthier because I knew exactly what I was putting in my body. Now when I spend money on food, because I still do, it's at a restaurant with my friends and it's much less frequent than DoorDashing. And I am paying for connection, not just calories. So there's a lot of advice out there that says, stop buying coffee and you will be a millionaire. I think that's mostly bullshit. You can't cut a $5 latte and expect to buy a house next year. But I think there is a grain of truth in it if you look at it from a lens of predictability. So the second habit is to build a boring routine. When you go out into the world without a plan, you are at the mercy of everybody else's prices. Like for example, if you're hungry, that sandwich is $15. If you're thirsty, that drink is $4. And yes, these are accurate New York prices. So I started leaning heavily into my products, my coffee beans, my groceries, my home entertainment. It sounds small, but when your daily life is predictable, your spending becomes predictable. I know exactly how much my life costs every single day, so there really aren't many surprises. The hack isn't just saving a few dollars here and there, it's the consistency. It's knowing that you aren't leaking money on random impulse purchases because your routine is pretty solid. Habit 3, okay, this was the hardest mental shift. I had to learn to stop living in my tax bracket. When you start making decent money, you feel entitled to spend it because you work hard for it. That is called lifestyle inflation. Like as soon as you get a raise, your expenses rise to meet your income. You want the nicer car. You want people to know you're doing well. You want to show that you elevated and you're in a better spot than where you were 5 years ago. I decided to go the other way. I decided to be more low-key. And so this meant staying in my smaller apartment where I could be renting a better one. It meant not posting flashy things on social media and making ragtag videos. It also meant not telling people about my finances without good intentions. And honestly, it had a social cost. I currently have friends who joke that I'm cheap. They ask why I don't upgrade my lifestyle. They tell me that I undersell myself. It's uncomfortable. It's really hard to sit there and let people think that you're broke when you're not. But flashing cash, in my experience, only brings out pressure to spend it and fakes who want free meals. So by living below my means, I keep the difference and I keep my peace. And right now, while I'm 5 weeks without a paycheck, I am very, very glad that money in my bank account is there instead of getting drained on a leased car that I can't even drive right now. Habit 4, the sacrifice. I need to be honest with you about this one. Saving this very fortunate safety net wasn't all slow cookers and skipped coffees. I made a sacrifice that I actually regret, and that is the habit of saying no. For a few years, I was hardcore. I wanted to build this safety net really, really, really fast. So I said no to everything. I said no to dinners. I said no to trips. I instead picked up extra shifts instead of sleeping. I neglected my social life, neglected my mental health. I used to think that saving every penny was the ultimate optimization, but I was wrong. I was optimizing for a bank account while my life experience was still at zero. So I look back at my early 20s and I realized I missed the chance to travel the world. I remember I was 24, 25. I could have gone to Paris. I could have gone to Asia, but I was too scared to spend the money. And you can't pay back your 22-year-old self for a trip that you were scared to fund way back when. Those memories are gone. Some friendships even faded because I wasn't around and I had to disappear. So if you are in that position and if you do want to follow my lead, I would say no, but use it conditionally. If you need to save aggressively for whatever reason, you got to be transparent. You got to tell your friends. You got to say, yo, I'm locking in for a few months. I got to save for this goal. I'll meet you on the other side. You don't just disappear like I did. Because money is a renewable resource. You can always make more. But time, you can't buy yesterday back. You can't buy today back. Any memories that you have the ability to make them. Okay, so habit 5. A lot of the troubles that were caused by the previous habit of saving now got fixed with this one, which was to learn how to automate expenses. Some days are too hard. Some shifts are really intense my mental. You just want to spend money to feel human again. You want to buy something just to feel a hit of dopamine. So I decided to automate a decision. I removed myself from the equation of saving money. I set up automatic transfers. So every time I get paid, a specific dollar amount goes into my savings before I could even do anything about it. And this is the set it and forget it method. It removes the emotion. You don't have to feel the pain of saving money every 2 weeks or every month or whatever. It happens in the background. And if the money isn't in your checking account, you can't spend it. So it ensured that all of those savings from cooking my meals, staying home, it actually ended up in the right place rather than just leaking out on random impulse purchases from a stressful shift. On top of that, the money saved was a set amount, which means I knew I was saving a certain amount every month. And the money I had left over, that could be spent guilt-free on my friends, on myself, on feeling like a human being. And as a result of defining savings and setting things on autopilot, I was able to actually buy back time to spend on myself, on my friends, and feeling human. So here we are, 5 weeks into the strike at the time of recording this video. My life hasn't changed much because I spent the last few years practicing these habits. Cooking at home, finding joy in my routine. My bare bones strike life just feels like a notch down from normal. The freedom I feel right now isn't about being rich, it's the freedom from fear. Because fear can eat you alive, it can make you make bad decisions, it can make you settle. But because I have this safety net, I know that I can last for a bit, and I can keep fear away, at least for the time being. When I was building this emergency fund, I didn't know what the emergency would be. I thought maybe a car crash, it would be a medical bill, maybe I would need bail money for something I did. I never guessed it would be a labor strike. And at this point, you really can't predict what the emergency is going to be, but you can predict that something is coming. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, or if you are thinking about saving, this is your sign. Just start. Make the one meal at home this week automate 50 bucks every month. Build the net, because when the world stops paying you, this is the only thing that's going to catch you. That is all I have for you. If you found this video helpful, click here to watch the next video. I'll catch you in the next one.